Hello everyone, welcome to Bajirao IAS Academy previous year questions analysis. So in this session, we have been analyzing the previous year questions, how to structure those questions and how to write the best possible answers so that you will get extra marks in your answers, right? So the first question that we are going to start this session is with the upstream and downstream process of marketing of agricultural products. Now, if you carefully observe the UPSC syllabus, it is clearly mentioned in the syllabus about the upstream and downstream linkages. So therefore, when you are preparing for the exam, particularly the mains exam, it is very important that you coordinate your studies with the syllabus so that your preparation would be most impactful while dealing with all these syllabus aspects. Now the first question, it is about the bottlenecks. So we need to identify what are the main bottlenecks in upstream and downstream process of marketing of agriculture products in India. So this question has been asked, and this question you have to write in 250 words, and this is 15 marker question, right? So first you have to understand what exactly the agriculture supply chain means. So what is the process, how the agriculture supply chain usually looks. Now if you look at the agriculture supply chain, first we need to talk about inputs. What are those inputs? For example, fertilizers, machinery, seeds. So everything will come under the inputs. And secondly, we need to talk about production of farming. Now after we have all the inputs, we talk about farming, and later stage is harvesting, and then food processing, packaging and retail. So this is in a nutshell total agriculture supply chain. Now this supply chain involves downstream as well as upstream upstream linkages of the agriculture produce. Okay, so if you look at the challenges, the main challenges involves the scarcity of resources. For example, there's a lack of enough inputs with the farmers. And after that we need to talk about the scope to improve the yield. Now if you look at Indian agriculture, the yield is very low when you compare it with major countries like US, Australia and China. Agriculture yield in India is very low. So after that we need to talk about the presence of intermediaries. Now intermediaries presence between agriculture and consumer have been making farmers are not able to realize better prices for their produce. So therefore too many intermediaries and lack of transparency and traceability is also another major challenge. And after that, the high amount of food wastage is what we need to talk about. Okay, so the post-harvest losses, even after the post-harvest losses, due to since we do not have enough cold storage facilities and we do not have the processing facilities, the food wastage is very high in India. Now after that we need to talk about the structure of agricultural value chains. So what exactly is the structure of agriculture or value chain? Now if you look at this image carefully, so here there's a upstream, downstream, and connecting with both upstream and downstream there's a midstream. So what comes under the upstream of the agriculture value chains? So firstly we need to talk about the input supply. Now as I have already told you what comes under the inputs, so the inputs include seeds, crop protection, fertilizer, irrigation equipment and insurance. So all these factors include the upstream. Okay, so apart from that in the midstream it involves agriculture production. For example, raw and permanent crops, livestock, forestry. So all these crops comes under the agriculture production, and it is part of the midstream. Now apart from that, logistics will also comes under the midstream of the agriculture value chains. Now logistics, what does logistics means? It involves transportation, warehousing generally storage of agricultural produce, and trading of agriculture commodities. Okay, so now even trading of agriculture commodities is also allowed, and waste management and cold chains are also part of the logistics. and this is the midstream of the agriculture value chains. So after that we have to talk about the processing and packaging of the agriculture produce. So in this we need to talk about the staple food, beverages and the livestock products. So they are part of the downstream of the agriculture value chain. And final stage of the agriculture value chain involves the distribution and retail. Okay, so this involves retailers, supermarkets, restaurants and e-commerce. So this is very important for the mains examination. So you get a basic idea about what constitutes upstream and what constitutes downstream and midstream. So how can we ensure a proper linkage between upstream and downstream when we talk about the agriculture value chain? Okay, so this is all about the upstream and downstream linkages. Now if you carefully observe the question, it is asking about what are main bottlenecks in the agriculture food processing industry. So agriculture is generally considered as the backbone. So it is considered as backbone of the Indian economy. So why? Because majority of the Indian population directly and indirectly dependent on agriculture sector. So because of this reason, agriculture is known as the backbone of the Indian economy. Okay, so over a period of time in Indian economy, what happening is we have been observing the growth in other sectors as well. So manufacturing industry and service sector. So there's a significant growth in other sectors as well. However, even though there's a significant growth in other sectors, agriculture remains one of the dominant area. So in India, an Indian economy, agriculture remains one of the dominant area and it has been playing a dominant part. Okay, so very dominant part in the overall economic scenario in India. So in this context, agriculture marketing is mainly a state entitlement. So there are different subjects. So these subjects are looked after by center and state governments. But when we talk about the agriculture marketing is primarily a state subject. Since it is state subject, it is looked after by the state, the rules are framed by the state. Okay, so similarly we have agriculture produce market committees in each state, and each state framed rules for the agriculture produce market committees. So however, the center has come up with a model law on APMCs so that all states will have a uniformity. There will be no confusion with respect to APMCs. So since agriculture marketing is mainly a state entitlement, central government providing support under various central sector schemes. Not just the central sector schemes, even the center has been passing the model laws in order to provide a uniformity and giving a clear way to these state agriculture marketing units. So therefore, in this context, the upstream processes of agriculture marketing that generally involves seeds, machinery, technology, and downstream processes include the food processing industry. Okay, so both the center and the states have been guiding the upstream and the downstream linkages in the food processing industry or overall agriculture sector. Now see, understand the robust agriculture sector and better productivity and farmers able to realize the better prices for their produce is actually the essence of the agriculture sector. Now in this context, there are still many challenges in upstream and downstream processes of agriculture marketing. So what are those challenges? When we talk about the challenges in upstream and downstream linkages, in the upstream process, there's a lack of coverage of reform policies. Even though the center has brought several reforms, but these reforms were not effectively or efficiently covered. So there is a lack of coverage of reform process. So this effectively means that APMC model rule or model law has been brought by the center. However, the APMC model rule is not mandatory on the part of the state governments because agriculture marketing is a state subject. So since there's a lack of reforms, it has become a major hindrance in addressing the issues in the agriculture marketing. So ever since the agriculture sector has a dominant sector, it has playing a dominant role. Since then, the agriculture marketing has been facing a lot of issues. So we can mention an example that only states have adopted the Agriculture, Produce and Livestock Marketing Act fully. Okay, so only some states, not all the states, but only some states have adopted the Agriculture, Produce and Livestock Marketing Act. So these reforms were not actively adopted by all the state governments. Now after that we need to talk about the contract farming. Now what exactly is the contract farming? Now generally contract farming involves there's a contract between the farmer and the seller. Farmer and seller. Now generally the produce which is produced by the farmer would be sold to the seller in a future date. So this is involves the contract farming. However, a pre-agreed price is the essence of contract farming. In this pre-agreed price, the produce will be sold to the seller. Now generally with the contract farming, what happens is that farmer will be protected from the volatility of the agriculture produce. Okay, so he would also get ready access to the marketing of his agriculture produce. So seller, with the anticipation of rise in the prices of agriculture commodities, he also link a contract with the farmer so that he can purchase these agriculture produce at a lesser cost. So this is the contract farming. So the contract farming has been taken out of the agriculture produce market committees domain. So earlier contract farming was also covered under the APMC domain, but now the contract farming was taken out of the APMC domain. So why? This is particularly because of the conflict of interest, and this also creates a lacuna in the upstream as well as downstream linking processes. After that, the another downstream bottleneck that we need to discuss is about the flawed MSP provision. Now what is MSP? MSP is the minimum supporting prices that are provided by the government to the agriculture produce or select crops. 22 crops are covered under the minimum support prices. When the market prices of agriculture produce is lower than the government announced price, then the government will ready to buy the produce at MSP. So this is MSP provision. So the main bottleneck at the downstream stage is a flawed MSP provision. So because of the flawed MSP, private traders often very often buy produce or above at the MSP or penalizing for not doing so. So that will that can kill the private markets for agriculture produce, since the MSPs were becoming more and more incentive for the farmers. Farmers are preferring to sell their produce at MSP rather than the private buyers. So that has been killing the private markets, and there's a lack of competition as well. So after that, there should be an effective provision for the procurement as well. So ever since the government has been procuring food grains at MSP for its own public distribution system, but the procurement process is not foolproof. So there's a lack of effective provision of procurement by the states and agencies which involved in local institutions like primary agriculture credit societies. So these primary agriculture credit societies are involved in the procurement of the food grains. So however, the problem is these primary agriculture credit societies are not adequately equipped to procure the food grains. So therefore the producer companies and it affects the sourcing activities and purchasing activities in upstream and downstream processes. So the procurement provision is also it also has certain flaws. So because of this reason, so it becomes a hurdle in the upstream and downstream linkages of the agricultural products. So after that, most disappointingly, agriculture produce and livestock market. So as we have already discussed that not all the states have adopted the Agriculture Produce and Livestock Marketing Promotion and Facilitation Act 2017. So only few states have adopted this. So this Agriculture Produce and Livestock Marketing Act 2017 also ignores the issue of role of Ardhias, So who are the ardiyas? Ardiyas were commission agents in few states, so in the APMCs. Now, as I have already told you that the commission agents and intermediaries are one of the major challenge in the agriculture marketing. So therefore, this particular act has neglected the commission agents or ardiyas, and it still maintains them as a central agents in the overall system. So this affects the overall agriculture marketing process, and farmers are not able to realize better prices for their produce. So however, some reforms like removal of entry barriers means that, for example, when agriculture produce is entering into the APMCs, certain entry barriers are in place. So reforms like removal of entry barriers, involvement of other stakeholders, and electronic settlement of sales, particularly electronic national agriculture market. So everything has to be used in an effective manner, and this process of marketing of agriculture products can be improved. So therefore, it enhances the forward and backward linkages in the agriculture sector. So addressing the challenges of agriculture market is actually complex, but yet it can be doable. Okay, so we have the goal of doubling farmers income. So therefore, in this context, the forward and backward linkages plays a very crucial and very important role. Okay, so increasing the farmers income. So in this context, we cannot expect that we can double the farmers income without thriving market ecosystem, agriculture market ecosystem. So therefore, we need to strengthen the agriculture marketing, and then we need to look for improving or doubling farmers income. So therefore, we need to stress that it is high time that we should focus, or our focus must shift from agriculture production to the agriculture marketing. So we should not just look for the agriculture production increasing yields, rather we should also shift our focus towards agriculture marketing. So this is how you have to write this answer. So first, you have to give a brief introduction about the agriculture sector and what constitutes the forward and backward linkages. And secondly, you need to write, so what are those hurdles in the forward backward linkages in the agriculture marketing, and then you have to suggest the reforms and write a favorable conclusion stressing on the need for reforming the agriculture marketing. So the next question that is asked in the general studies paper 3, see, when it comes to economy paper 3, agriculture sector is very important. UPSC asks at least 70 to 75 marks from in this paper from agriculture sector alone. Sustainable farming, integrated farming, and precision farming, zero budget natural farming, organic farming. So everything, even livestock, so everything comes from this area. So therefore, you have to focus more on this section, agriculture section, in the paper 3. So the next question is, what exactly is the integrated farming system, and how integrated farming system is helpful to small and marginal farmers in India? Now, how it has been helping the small and marginal farmers in India. Now, first understand what exactly is the integrated farming. Now, integrated farming generally involves not just a simple farming, cultivation of rice, wheat, or any other crop. Rather, when we are farming, so we have been using farming as an avenue for the alternative income. For example, when a farmer has been cultivating a rice crop, so side by side he should also focus on horticulture sector, fishery, and mushroom, poultry farming, because in integrated farming, what happens is that the waste which is generated from the poultry and goatry and dairy sector can be used for the agriculture sector. Okay, so that can be used for the agriculture sector. So once the fishery water is also used for the agriculture sector, then it provides essential nutrients for the agriculture sector, and so therefore a farmer earns income through different means in the integrated farming system. So the integrated farming system takes care of different aspects. For example, it takes care of the water conservation, water protection and management. Energy efficiency also can be achieved, and this also takes care of the animal husbandry, because we have integrated farming system also has dairying, poultry, goatry, and so it controls pollution and byproduct management. So what does this mean? When we have ventured into the integrated farming system, so we generally don't use the fertilizers, the chemical fertilizers. We generally use the waste from the poultry industry and other animal husbandry waste products. So therefore there's a reduced need for the chemical fertilizers, and that also controls the pollution, and byproduct management will also be achieved. So after that, we need to talk about the crop health and crop protection can be achieved, and better crop yield can also be possible through the integrated farming system. The soil management and fertility, organization and proper planning, because you are not just dealing with one single crop, so rather you are dealing with multiple avenues. So after that, the community engagement and landscape and nature conservation. So since integrated farming has a lot of potential in substantially increasing the farmers' income, and even it can achieve the goal of doubling farmers' income, and women have a key role in the integrated farming system, so it has been increasingly emphasized in recent times. So however, the need is providing adequate extension and awareness to the farming community is very important. Now in the introduction itself, you have understood what exactly is the integrated farming, and in the introduction itself you just have to define what exactly is the integrated farming system. So integrated farming means combining crop production with the livestock management. Okay, so whatever crops you have produced, so it involves combining crop production with the livestock management. So the crop production and livestock management usually complement each other in a way that enjoys the benefits of symbiotic relationship. So what does symbiotic relationship? One benefiting the other is actually the symbiotic relationship. So in this integrated farming also, the essence is symbiotic relationship. So in the integrated farming system, so agriculture can be integrated with livestock, poultry, fish, so which are all kept in one place to create year-round employment, and additional income can also be generated through this. Okay, so this is the essence of the integrated farming. Now when integrated farming system, when agriculture was jointly performed with animal husbandry, land, water, plant was fully utilized. So not just we are fully utilizing the resources, but we are using those resources in an efficient manner. Okay, so in line with the sustainability principles. So for example, keep poultry in the upper layer. For example, there's a layer. Okay, so you just have to keep poultry in the upper layer and utilize their excreta, and pigs are in the lower layer. So you just keep pigs in the lower layer, and residual water from the pond was utilized for agriculture and fodder crops production. So this is what I have already told you. So how the end products from these different activities can be used in other agriculture activities. So a lot of villages, coconut gardens are intercropped with fodder and allow the livestock and country hens to graze the pasture. So this excreta can be recycled as a manure for gardens as well as crops for integrated farming. So this generally involves that if you look at the southern India, so there are coconut crops, and within these coconut crops farmers used to cultivate banana, and even there are gardens for the fodder, so that they can practice the integrated farming. Now in this context, integrated farming system helpful to small and marginal farmers in India. How integrated farming is beneficial for the small and marginal farmers in India? So in our country, around 80% of the farmers, more than 80% of our farmers having a hectare or less than a hectare of agriculture practiced with the animal husbandry. Okay, so 80% of the farmers having a hectare or less than a hectare, so also have the animal husbandry. So this not only gives the additional income to these farmers, and it is also an avenue for the employment creation to the family members. So round the clock. Okay, for example, if you look at the agriculture sector during Kharif and Rabi, mostly crops are cultivated. So what about the remaining period of time? So they mostly dependent on the livestock for the remaining period of time. So, and also livestock excreta will be used as an organic manure. So that is the way they can reduce the input cost, and this manure will also reduce the need for using chemical fertilizers. They are very often comes with negative environmental consequences. Okay, so after that we need to talk about the additional yields also. So these additional yields from crops at a lower initial investment makes it less capital incentive. So soil fertility was protected. So through the integrated farming, the soil fertility can also be protected. So when we are protecting our soil fertility, it reduces the need for chemical fertilizers, and it also reduces the use of weeds. Okay, so non-beneficial plants and other sedges growth were restricted. So this reduces the use of pesticides and weedicides as well. So fourth, the crop residues which are being used as livestock feed will reduce the feed cost. So fifth, small farmers owning 1 hectare of land could allocate 0.8 hectares of land for agriculture and 0.2 hectares of land for fodder production, so that they can practice the integrated farming using the modern technologies. And if followed crop rotation, the returns from the agriculture sector and the milk from the poultry and meat from the dairy farming, milk from the dairy farming and meat from the poultry sector high in demand, and farmers can realize more and more income through the integrated farming system. So what are the basic components of the integrated farming system? So it generally involves different components. For example, the livestock management, ajolla production. So what is this ajolla? Ajolla is a natural fertilizer. Okay, so that can be used as a natural fertilizer, and after that ajolla can also be sold to other farmers for a generation of alternative income. So we talk about the rainwater harvesting and farm ponds, and those farm ponds can be used as sources of aquaculture, and bioorganic fertilizers will be used in place of chemical fertilizers through organic manure and vermicompost. Okay, so these are all the components of the integrated farming system. So while writing conclusion, the integrated farming system, production of ajolla can be utilized for fodder, and it can also be used as a source of agriculture fertilizers. Okay, so ajolla is not just used as a fodder, but it can also be used as an organic fertilizers. So in addition to this, ajolla has become a non-chemical fertilizer based on the alternative fodder. Okay, so this has become an alternative fodder, and it has become a non-chemical fertilizer. So therefore it will be suitable for all livestock, and this can be used as a protein rich feed, and thereby can reduce the overall production cost, whether it is in agriculture sector or even in the animal husbandry. So you just have to emphasize the importance of the integrated farming, okay, in the conclusion. So that's how you just have to conclude this answer. The next question that we're going to discuss is about the James Webb Telescope. See, understand, each year UPSC asks at least one question from the space. Now if you look at the 2023 mains examination, UPSC asked about Chandrayaan 3. So in a similar way, in the year 2022, UPSC has asked about James Webb Space Telescope. So therefore you have to keep a pace with all these important happenings. So launched in 25th December 2021, James Webb Space Telescope has been much in the news since then. So ever since the James Webb Telescope has launched, it has been in news since then. So what are its unique features? So what are its unique and major features which make it superior to its predecessor space telescope? Okay, so what are the unique feature which make it it's the predecessor space telescopes? So what are key goals of this mission, and what are the potential benefits does it hold for human race? Now whenever UPSC asks about any such question which is related to space, so they are bit lengthy questions. This year also Chandrayaan 3 question is too lengthy, so therefore it is up to you that how you concise this answer and how you can write this answer within 150 words. Okay, so that is the essence. Now firstly, in the introduction you just have to define or you just have to write a few things about the James Webb Space Telescope. So James Webb Telescope is the result of an international collaboration between NASA and European space agencies along with the Canadian Space Agency. So this is a collaboration between 3 space agencies: NASA, European Space Agency and Canadian Space Agencies, and this was launched in the year 2021. Now the James Webb Space Telescope is currently at a point in space known as Sun-Earth Lagrange Point 2. Okay, so L2 point or Lagrange point 2. So it approximately 1.5 million kilometers beyond Earth's orbit around the Sun. It is the largest and most powerful infrared space telescope ever built by the human race. So this is the largest and most powerful infrared space telescope human beings ever built. So its successor telescope will be the Hubble telescope. Okay, so sorry, it's actually the successor. So earlier we have the Hubble telescope. So replacing Hubble telescope, now we have the James Webb Space Telescope. So its advanced equipment, the advanced equipment that is used in the James Webb Telescope can look backwards. Okay, so not future, but it can look backwards in time just after the Big Bang. So Big Bang is generally related to the birth of the universe. So it looks backward in time after the Big Bang, what exactly happened after Big Bang, looking for distant galaxies so that are so far away that light has taken many billions of years to get from those galaxies to our telescope. Okay, so it takes a lot of time to reach the light to reach light to this telescope. So because of this reason it can look into the backwards in time. So what are the special features of the James Webb Telescope? James Webb Telescope has certain special features. Okay, so this can observe primarily in the infrared range. So that is a very important and very essential. Okay, so it can observe primarily in the infrared range, and it can also provide a coverage of from 0.6 to 28 microns. Okay, so it can provide a coverage from 0.6 to 28 microns. So the instruments on its predecessor Hubble telescope, so earlier telescope was called as Hubble telescope, so it was called as a predecessor. Okay, so Hubble telescope see mainly through the ultraviolet and visible part of the spectrum. Okay, so however it could observe only a small range of infrared from 0.8 to 0.5 microns. However, if you look at the James Webb Telescope, so it has a coverage of 0.6 to 28 microns. So therefore the James Webb Telescope is more powerful. So James Webb primary mirror has a diameter of around 6.5 meters. However, Hubble's mirror is just 2.4 meters in diameter. So therefore this also makes James Webb Telescope more powerful and more effective than the earlier Hubble Space Telescope. Now in this context we need to understand the key goals of the James Webb Space Telescope. Okay, so this is also asked in the question. So what are the key goals of the James Webb Space Telescope? So it examines every phase. It examines every phase of the cosmic history. So every phase means from the formation of the Big Bang, from the Big Bang, the formation of galaxies, stars, planets, to the evolution of our own solar system. It analyzes and examines every cosmic happening or cosmic event. The goals of the James Webb Telescope can be grouped into 4 themes. Okay, so it can be grouped into 4 themes. So what are those 4 themes? The first theme of the James Webb Telescope is the first is to look back around 13.5 billion years. So 13.5 billion years, even Earth was not yet originated. So it looked back around 13.5 billion years to see the first stars, galaxies forming out of the darkness in the early universe. So this is really magnificent how it is looking back in time to 13.5 billion years. Secondly, to compare the faintest, earliest galaxies to today's grand spirals and understand how these galaxies assemble over billions of years. So how these galaxies are formed over a period of time. So the third objective is to see where stars and planetary systems are being born out of how these stars and planetary systems are being born. So there's a concepts like a red dwarf star, white dwarf star. So how these planetary systems are being formed, so how these stars are being formed. So this provides an important insights into the future space exploration. So the fourth major objective is to observe the atmosphere and extrasolar planets beyond our solar system. Okay, so not just observing the atmosphere, but also the extrasolar planets, so not in our solar system. Okay, so perhaps find the building blocks of the life elsewhere in the universe. Okay, so it also finds the building blocks of life. Now we still don't have enough evidence to prove that there's a life elsewhere in other planets, other solar systems. So therefore James Webb Telescope has a huge role to play in this context. Now what will be the potential benefits for humans through the James Webb Space Telescopes? So it will reveal a new and unexpected discoveries with respect to the universe, since it has the potential to look back in time to 13.5 billion years, and therefore it will help humanity understand the origins of the universe and our place in the universe. The second major benefit to the human race through this telescope, this will study the atmosphere of a wide diversity of exoplanets. So this observes the wider exoplanets outside our solar system, and it also makes an important findings about it. It will also search for atmosphere like planet Earth. So human race has been searching for the planets which has the atmosphere, which has water, which can sustain life on other planets. Okay, so because of this reason, James Webb Telescope has also have a key role to play in with respect to search for atmosphere like Earth, and for the signatures of key substances such as methane, water, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and even the complex organic molecules. So therefore it provides a hope in finding a new building blocks of life. So this is how you have to address the all parts of the question, and in conclusion you just have to write, you need to be optimistic and hopeful about the James Webb Space Telescope and the findings of this space telescope. So James Webb's state-of-the-art instruments make it an ideal to search for evidence of potentially life-supporting atmosphere around many of the newly documented exoplanets, and observe the worlds of Mars and Saturn's icy moon Titan. So because of this reason, making it open a whole new world of information about the universe, and will bring about the revolution in the astronomical world. So this is how you have to write the conclusion in an optimistic and hopeful manner about the James Webb Space Telescope. So that makes your conclusion holistic and comprehensive. Okay, so that's all for today, and tomorrow also we will be discussing few previous year questions. So please like the video if you really like our work, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.